Today, the jet set travel company's first priority was damage control.
We can give as far as is possible at the moment, and I have to say as far as is possible, an assurance that everyone who has paid money will travel, and everyone who has got a booking will be sure that that booking is honoured.
The Omega travel agency at Charlestown empty, cleaned out, computers, filing cabinets, furnishings, all gone. Staff are now working at hired desks. Partitions were torn down. 32 people are due to fly out on a US tour tomorrow. One person's passport is gone.
A passenger whose passport was in one of the missing files, who is due to depart tomorrow, obviously needs that passport to be able to depart tomorrow.
A sign in the window pleading for anyone who's booked a holiday to come forward. Charlestown detectives say they're close to tracking down the missing office equipment, but they're not sure whether it's or a case for the civil courts. In the meantime, Jetset is asking that clients not panic. Anthony Griffiths, NBN News. Investigators say it was a case of spontaneous combustion, blankets and linen just bursting into flame. Brigades from Stockton and Waratah got the call about 6 o'clock last night. By the time they arrived, the Stockton Centre laundry was ablaze. It was a race against time. Evacuation wasn't necessary as firemen isolated and contained the fire. The laundry was gutted. Valuable industrial equipment destroyed. The damage bill could reach $400,000. Today, the centre's 30 laundry staff embarked on a massive clean-up operation. Anthony Griffiths, NBN News.
To most motorists, Devil's Pinch between Guyra and Armidale is an accident waiting to happen. In the best of weather, numerous cars and trucks have lost control, with more than one fatal crash. With the onset of local snowfalls, the Roads and Traffic Authority, along with police, have decided to take action. Changeable roadsides that can be locked into position, depending on the season, to encourage motorists to slow down.
I would suggest that they particularly look out for shaded areas, because on shaded areas of the road black ice can have formed, and in those areas cars can quite easily lose control completely.
Police are still searching for the man who climbed onto the roof of the telecom building and allegedly damaged about 6 waveguides leading to the 150-metre high tower. Telecom officials say he could have killed himself with the amount of high voltage equipment at the site. The damaged waveguides have now been replaced, costing more than $40,000. The tower at the Vincent Lookout is responsible for the communications network in and out of Taree.
Carries the Sydney-Brisbane telephony traffic, communications, data, television, also important circuits that NASA have go up and down there, and it's a vital link in the communication link.
This is not the first time the Telecom tower north of Coopanook has been broken into. Telecom is now looking at upgrading security of the site.
All but one of the properties date back to last century, with SRA employees living and working in them. Despite a record turnout for an Armidale auction, the station master's residence, built in 1883, brought a lower price than expected. Bidding never reached the reserve and was passed in at $160,000. Negotiations for the property are continuing. Other properties auctioned today included the old gatehouse on Butler Street, sold for $47,000, and the station staff residence in Brown Street, going for a healthy $78,000.
And the big fellow tips another winner, 15-4, 12-1 and 13-4 in favourite. In Brisbane, the TAB Doomben Mile was the feature, and a great finish by a couple of outsiders. $12-1, 25-1 and 11-8 in favourite.
More than 60 employees from the Queen Street branch in Grafton went to work today connecting electricity to a farmhouse near Grafton. While they charged the usual connection fee, they won't have anything to show for it when they check their pay packets next week. Instead of being paid for the job, they've asked the Electricity Council to give their wages for the day's work to Camp Quality, a charity for children who have cancer. Organisers say they expect to raise about $12,000.
There's no doubt that since Australia's stunning one-goal win over New Zealand in the final of the World Cup, that netball has finally received a higher profile, something that should have happened years ago. Boasting one of the biggest participations of any sport in the country, netball is set to break new ground, and leading players are now sharing their expertise in rural areas. At the Chris O'Connell Netball Complex at Maclean, the Lower Clarence Association invited 3 of the game's best to pass on their wealth of knowledge to around 80 players, some who have already reached representative honours, while others are just devotees of netball. Karen Smith is a former national team member, and at the moment Karen is the satellite coach for the Australian team. Her main role in today's clinic was to pass on her skills in defence, while New South Wales State League player Debbie Curry was showing how to control the mid-court positions, so vital in any netball fixture. Rounding out the troupe of touring tutors, Kate Meaney, the current New South Wales captain and State League player with Manly, whose task it was to improve the shooting skills of those attending today's session. All coaches were impressed with the standard and levels of skill exhibited by all those taking part.
Armidale police allege the four broke into the campus's economics building over the weekend. They allegedly forced entry through two doors of the building and broke into the filing cabinet where the papers were locked.
I think it really rests with the hands of the courts now to see what the court's decision will be, and then after the verdict has been handed down, etc., the university will then take the matter up.
After appealing to the public for information, Armidale police received an anonymous tip-off about the whereabouts and identity of the thieves. Police then approached two men, aged 19 and 21, and two women aged 19, who allegedly admitted the crime and told police they had destroyed the papers. Three of the four have been charged with breaking, entering and stealing, and the other with breaking and entering. Police have also recovered a computer, a keyboard and a printer in the four's possession. The students will appear in the Armidale court on July the 6th. Their future at the university remains uncertain.
I dare say that they would be called before the Student Disciplinary Committee of Armidale, and then the committee can hand down a judgment, anything from fining the students to recommending that they be suspended from university for the rest of their life.
The doctors say I'm doing...
That makes them look very different. They have to go back to school.
But I don't think I could go back to school next week with them.
I guess the worst thing was the teasing.
But did you have to go back to school without any hair?
Yep.
Oh, what was it like?
Oh, it wasn't too bad. I guess it could have been a lot.
Schoolwork? I don't think I'm ever going... Oh, gee, I'm sorry, mate. You know, I'm supposed to... Oh, no. But you know, my mum...
I guess the worst thing was the teasing.
Yeah.
Some of the older kids used...
Over 100 of the best longboard surfers from Noosa in the north to Merimbula in the south are taking advantage of near-perfect 4 to 5 foot sets to rekindle the delights of hanging anything between 5 and 10. Once again, the Malibu Classic has attracted many national and state title holders, past and present, including this weekend's overall favourite Ian Goodacre of Laurelton, who was impressed with the lineup.
It's a very mellow sort of contest. It's a bit more traditional than most of the other ones, but you get a lot of the good surfers like Ray Gleave and guys from Queensland coming down. Very good competition, yeah.
And as far as a change to the boards and styles from the 60s, it's minimal.
They're basically much the same. You know, we play with fins and maybe a bit of bottom curve and that just to see, but it's up to the individual and what they want, really.
All divisions are being contested, with the final set down for tomorrow.
The theme of the day-long summit held in the Coffs Harbour Community Centre, Coffs Harbour's Koalas, is Extinction Their Future. Local environmental groups, forestry and council representatives all striving to answer the question that has been hanging over Coffs Harbour for a long time.
I think what we've heard so far in the summit today is going to give the council and state government options to allow them to make sure that the koala survives in this area. I think that underneath, most people want to save the koala. I think we're going to have to start looking at tax incentives. We're going to have to give ratepayers deductions for keeping trees. We're going to look at tax deductions for farmers. We're going to see if we can find some kind of positive solutions that appeal to the community and bring in community good economics.
Despite the success of today's summit, the future of the koala is not at all guaranteed.
It's not good news for the koala, and I think we're at the crisis point, and I think what's come out today is that if something isn't done right now about the koala in New South Wales, not just Coffs Harbour, we're going to lose this animal. It's very serious, and I think the message needs to be spread right throughout the state.
Holdsworth is equipped with a New South Wales Sheffield Shield team and toured with the Australian second 11 in 1991. The residential program for the Academy Scholarship holders will cover intensive skills training, off-season training techniques and fitness testing. The participants are selected from the best junior cricketers in the area, from Taree to Tweed Heads and to the Rangers in the West. 23 youngsters listened intently to Holdsworth and the other coaches and will be much better cricketers because of the intense weekend of coaching.
Shane Brannock and his bride Rain took their vows in their Aikido martial arts gear. The service was officially performed by a marriage celebrant and a Japanese Buddhist monk gave his blessing. Shane and Rain met on a mat at training and literally fell for each other. And this is one married pair that shouldn't fight, both are black belts. From here it's off for a honeymoon in the desert and a life of married bliss.
With yesterday one of the shortest days of the year, it was an early morning start, with most competitors teeing off at 7:30. More than 200 players signed up for the four-ball par event, a premier day on the Armidale Club's calendar. According to club captain Graham Hyde, the course was in prime condition.
Our greenkeeper David Honeysett and his staff done an excellent job, and by spring the greens will be, I suspect, the best in New England.
Tricky winds made for difficult driving conditions, but once on the green, some players had no trouble, while others, well, they weren't quite as lucky. Competition proved tight, with 3 pairs finishing on the top score of +9. In a countback, victory went to Armidale pair Scott Hurrigan and John Schumann. Catherine Lamond, NBN News.
This is the act which caused all the excitement. Probationary Constable Nicole Dalmazio's routine was one of 9 among the finalists in the $20,000 Ultimate Woman Quest at Fanny's nightclub in Newcastle last Wednesday. She placed 5th overall, but the police inquiry into why she was wearing a uniform during the performance has won more publicity than the winners. Nightclub director Warren McCullum was stunned by the furore.
We were very surprised by it all.
And how did the police handle it at that stage?
Very tactful. They were very discreet. We're very pleased with the way they handled it.
Senior police at Newcastle have a copy of the videotape performance, but they have no official comment on the incident. It's understood Police Commissioner Tony Lauer is taking a personal interest in the proceedings. Nicole Dalmazio is unavailable for comment. However, a relative confirmed today that she is planning to resign from the force. Tom Hilston, NBN News. June Brislane's body was discovered at the old station master's cottage in Newcastle City in October 1990. She'd suffered massive head injuries. She'd also been impaled with a star picket. This evening, a jury found 34-year-old Arthur Kerry Ronald Scott guilty of murder. The jury took just 2 hours to return a verdict of guilty of murder, ending a 4-day trial. At the end of proceedings, the accused requested an extension of his bail. Mr. Justice Hunt said that was quite out of the question.
At 3 this afternoon, Morey's basketball stadium finally fell silent. They started playing at 9 yesterday morning, bouncing for their hospital. It was the brainchild of the Student Council. Meet bleary-eyed Gay Regan. For some, all the motivation in the world wasn't enough. The recipe for success? When that ball finally... The kids had raised $1,200 for the keyhole surgery appeal. Oh, the score? Who knows?
While out on patrol, Terrigal Police spotted flames coming from this holiday house in Painters Lane just after 11 last night. 2 local fire brigades were called in and contained the blaze to 2 upstairs rooms within 15 minutes. It's believed the fire started with lounge cushions in both the family and lounge rooms being set alight. There was severe smoke damage to the rest of the house, which was unoccupied at the time of the fire. Police are treating it as suspicious. A downstairs window of the locked house had been opened. A quantity of jewellery found lying on a bed in the main upstairs bedroom. The Sydney owner has been contacted. It's unknown if any property has been stolen. And in Newcastle, fire officers were called to a petrol leak at this service station in New Lambton, earmarked for demolition. Around mid-morning, the demolition team were attempting to lift concrete slabs under which fuel tanks were stored. They discovered petrol leaking from the tanks. The fire brigade covered the area with foam. Work on the site has been stopped until Monday, when petrol investigators will assess how to clean up the spill. Nearby roads have been closed to traffic. Catherine Lamond, NBN News. An appearance at centenary celebrations for Warners Bay Public School was a pleasant change for the Education Minister after a week of political turmoil. But Virginia Chadwick says the months ahead are also going to be tough, with John Fay wanting to restore stability to government while facing a possible 7 by-elections before the next general election.
Yes, there are a number of our people who are going to resign or are under challenge for one reason or another. But is the team solidly behind John? Are we determined to show good and stable government in New South Wales? The answer is yes.
The Minister expects John Fahey to announce his cabinet reshuffle next week, and without wanting to tell the new Premier what to do, believes including some new blood as the best move.
If it should be that John feels that people like me have been around long enough, then so be it. He really, in my view, has a great to put his own personality, his own stamp on a new cabinet.
At the risk of being presumptuous, she'd be happy to broaden her portfolio.
To stay in education, possibly with TAFE, I think would be my preference.
But politics was far from the minds of Warners Bay Public School supporters, who turned out in droves for one of the biggest 100th birthdays the area has ever seen. Current students captured the spirit of yesteryear, while up in the schoolyard, 4 generations of former students reacquainted themselves with what began as a one-classroom school.
Shares in BHP have recovered strongly since Australia's largest company announced a net profit fall of almost 60% in the 91-92 financial year. Nevertheless, BHP's steel division remains an area of concern with a domestic slump and uncertainty about the international market. Speaking on the Business Sunday program, BHP Chief Executive Mr John Prescott said a decision would have to be made about Newcastle Steel in the next few months.
It won't necessarily be a clear-cut decision that once and for all determines the future of Newcastle Steelworks.
Mr Prescott said it could involve a series of decisions over a long term. But he says whatever moves BHP considers, they will be more complex than a simple stay or close option.
There may be a point in the future where there is no integrated steelworks at Newcastle, but there would be likely to be something in its place.
Almost 100 netballers from Lakeside Association and throughout the Hunter braved the inclement weather for a chance to get some hints from former Australian netball captain Anne Sargent. Anne plus 4 other past and present national and state representatives put the 10 to 15-year-olds through a series of specialist drills and fitness training. Discovering untapped talent is one, but not the ultimate goal of the clinics.
Although we love working with elite kids, this is grassroots level and we just want to work with kids that love their sport.
For those netballers aspiring to representative heights, a word of advice on how to go about it.
Turning up at the clinic's a great starting point. Standing for reps in their district is a starting point. You mightn't make it, but by going, you're seen. Exposing yourself to the next level of ability, it might be watching their rep teams play.
Catherine Lamond, NBN News. Police and ambulance were called to the Amsterdam-registered Artiestgarage around midday after a crew member returned from a night out.
It would appear that one of the young seamen from the ship gone into town last night for a Saturday night, and appears he's been assaulted. At this stage we're not sure by how many people, and we haven't established yet whether robbery was the motive or not.
The Dutchman, aged in his early 20s, was treated for cuts and bruises, then taken to the John Hunter Hospital for observation. According to the ship's captain, Anthony Van Zoolen, after allegedly being bashed, the crewman's fortunes changed.
One of the Newcastle citizens found him hanging on the fence, and he took him home and gave him a shower, washed him, dried him.
Captain Van Zoolen says while the Good Samaritan was out shopping this morning, the crewman caught a taxi back to the ship. Mayfield Police are still investigating the incident. Catherine Lamond, NBN News.